If you're in a relationship with an Enneagram 6, then the first thing you should know is that they're a bundle of contradictions because their ego is telling them that the world is not a safe place, but you can find security by being responsible and doing what's expected of you. But since so many people, authority figures, and institutions expect different things from us, 6s have a hard time making consistent decisions based on their own internal guidance system. And so they go back and forth between seemingly paradoxical behaviors based on whatever or whoever makes them feel safe and accepted at any given moment. So, in honor of this paradoxical nature, each of my relationship themes for the Enneagram 6 is focused on one of their trademark contradictions. First up, we got doubt versus devotion, then it's passion versus ambivalence, next is ease versus aggression, then it's collaboration versus competition, and finally, independence versus codependence. Okay, that's our roadmap. Ready? Let's get into it. The first major theme of relationships with an Enneagram 6 is one that trickles down into everything else I'm about to discuss, and that's doubt versus devotion. The 6's deep struggle with doubt may be surprising considering the fact that they're nicknamed the Loyalist due to their naturally strong commitments to the people they love. But 6s believe that even strong commitments need to be tested every once in a while to ensure that they're still safe, or at least that's what their doubt says. 6s like to poke at their loved ones to see if there's any chance they might have one foot out the door. Doubt also makes 6s naturally suspicious, and suspicion likes to imagine the worst case scenario. Oddly enough, 6s actually feel more secure if they've spent some amount of time thinking about these catastrophic outcomes. That way, if something horrible does happen, like an affair, they can say, I knew something was going on when he took that business trip last fall. It's all an attempt to guard their hearts, and it's why 6s really need to air out their doubts every once in a while so that they can feel intimately connected with their partner. If 6s just try to hide their doubts, they just get bigger and more irrational. If a 6's partner can calmly address their doubts head on, it relieves a ton of anxiety for the 6, which then leads to the rock-solid devotion that the 6 is known for. However, these healing conversations usually need to be sparked by the 6's partner, as 6s tend to avoid direct conversations that could make it look like they're not 100% committed. Lastly, if you're the 6's partner, you can help counteract their doubts about the relationship by being a sort of memory database. Doubt is often fueled by a short-term memory, so if the 6's partner can help paint a picture of historical milestones, maybe do some romantic storytelling to weave a thread through your time together, can really help inspire some much-needed confidence about your future together. Birthdays and holidays are a great time to do this. At the end of the day though, healthy 6s have to determine for themselves if their doubts are justified or if they're devoting themselves to a relationship just because they feel too scared to leave, not because they feel passionate about staying. Okay, that's our cue to segue to the next theme, which is all about the 6's passion versus their ambivalence. One of the things that makes your average Enneagram 6 a great partner is that they're so open-minded and supportive of whatever it is you choose to do with your life. But sometimes that open-mindedness comes from the fact that they've lost touch with their own unique perspective. Furthermore, 6s can be agreeable simply because they know that's how you win friends and get people to support you back. As soon as you give up being ambivalent about a controversial topic or take a risk to pursue your dream, you expose yourself to criticism, failure, and rejection. A simple way to say it is that ambivalence equals security and passion equals risk. Now, all 6s are hyper-aware of risk, but they deal with it in two distinct ways. Counterphobic 6s use the adrenaline they get from taking risks or stirring up conflict to overcompensate for their ambivalent feelings about everyday life or just a general lack of direction. On the other hand, phobic 6s prefer to settle into a more stable, totally risk-avoidant life filled with familiar routines and a career that's satisfactory at best. Whether a 6 uses adrenaline or comfort to navigate their ambivalent feelings about life doesn't really matter unless they've learned to overcome their anxiety about making choices from a truly passionate, authentic place. Many 6s are actually attracted to more successful, ambitious partners because they embody the kind of decisiveness that they wish they had. However, this can be a real recipe for conflict because 6s tend to take on a ton of responsibilities that they don't necessarily enjoy, they just feel like it's their duty. So if their partner is off at work all day doing what they love or grabbing drinks with friends after getting another promotion, all that does is remind the 6 of the dreams they've neglected in favor of a lifestyle defined by comfort, convenience, and security. Stressed out sixes tend to get super passive aggressive with their partner because they not so secretly resent the burden they feel has been placed on them in the relationship. Okay, last thing I'll say about this inner tension caused by passion versus ambivalence is that it plays out in the six's willingness to be romantic. Ambivalent sixes work hard to keep their emotions and impulses in check so they can be restrained and responsible. So if their partner is trying to get a rise out of them, even in a romantic or playful way, it often just feels immature or selfish. Ironically, sixes are great at sparking romance when they do feel truly content with their life and secure with their partner. Chalk that up to another type 6 contradiction. Okay, time for our next theme, which is this back and forth between ease and aggression. I spoke about phobic versus counterphobic sixes in the last theme, but it's important to know that all sixes are a mixture of both phobic and counterphobic tendencies. It's not totally one or the other. It just depends on the certain area of life they're dealing with, like a big gruff Navy SEAL that's unafraid of getting shot at, but is scared to death of crying in front of his wife. In relationships, phobic sixes tend to express their concerns more often, yet more gently, while primarily counterphobic sixes tend to stuff their problems and get downright rude or combative when confronted with something they did wrong. This is why counterphobic sixes get mistyped as 8s all the time, because they use aggression as a weapon to fight off their many fears in life. All sixes just feel like they're being vigilant in like a healthy, normal, responsible way, and they feel like if they get too relaxed, they're not going to anticipate the danger coming around the corner. Ironically, things get tricky when sixes start to feel stable because they take on the traits of the type 9 peacemaker during integration, and so they embody the 9's calm acceptance of life and people just as they are. That's a beautiful experience for the 6 and for their partner. But it also makes the 6 feel like they're losing their edge because they're no longer anticipating everything that could go wrong. Remember, their default ego message is saying that the world is not a safe place, which makes them constantly search for a secure, stable place to defend themselves and their loved ones. However, this kind of hypervigilance can burn 6s out. So instead of taking on the high side of peaceful 9s, just basking in the joy of life, they take on the low side of 9s, which looks like them being aloof, spacey, and too unfocused to follow even a basic conversation. Ultimately, a 6's partner is going to see them span the gamut of outwardly aggressive and anxious to so chilled out it seems like their soul has left their body. All right, let's move on to the next theme, which is the 6's shift between a spirit of collaboration and competition. Whether it's raising children, planning a vacation, furnishing a home, or just running some basic errands, 6s are highly collaborative people. Healthy 6s also have almost no ego when it comes to tackling the more thankless jobs in life because they value a sense of commitment over a sense of success. Average 6s also have a bit of tall poppy syndrome, and while they can be very successful, they prefer to put the shine on someone else because being in the spotlight can expose you to attack as much as it can expose you to praise and affirmation. Now, in their relationships, the 6's spirit of collaboration comes out as a mutual sense of respect. They believe everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, so it's all about finding someone strong enough to support you, safe enough to be truly vulnerable with, and then everything else in between is pretty much gravy. On the high side, this can make 6s very warm and accepting of folks that are way different than they are, but on the low side, it can make them collect some dysfunctional people that are only safe sharing their weaknesses, but aren't really strong enough or even interested in supporting anyone else but themselves. If the 6 starts collecting this chorus of collaborative supporters, it can be a bit off-putting for their romantic partners that feel like the 6 is more involved in the lives of other people than they are in the relationship. However, if 6s start to rely solely on their romantic partner, they tend to get hypersensitive about feeling ignored, and that creates a sense of competition in them that's explained in their movement to the type 3 achiever and disintegration. Insecure 6s try really hard to look bright, beautiful, or badass to convince people that they're worth loving and supporting. This can devolve into bragging about their partner even though the relationship is on the rocks, gossiping to their friends about other friends in their circle, or even lying about work opportunities to make it seem like they've got this thriving career. Again, that's the low side of the type 3. When 6s get this self-conscious in a relationship, they get jealous, which when mixed with their tendency to be suspicious, leads them to projecting a wandering eye onto their partner. Jealous 6s feel like they've got to compete against all the other people their partner could possibly have an affair with, and that's just exhausting for both parties. Okay, last thing I have to say on this theme is a bit of a twist, and it's that many 6s actually need to find someone worth competing for. 6s are very comfortable with what's, well, comfortable. rather than going after what they truly want. Okay, not gonna get too advicey, so do with that information what you will, because it's time to move on to our next theme, which is the Six's struggle for independence versus codependence. One of the Six's core motivations in life is to find a supportive group of people or institutions to help guide them through life. Again, the Six's search for these external support systems is because they struggle to overcome their anxiety about navigating life on their own. This makes Sixes incredibly devoted to their loved ones because they provide a sort of North Star to help navigate life. Sixes that don't trust their own inner direction will typically attach to a partner that will make most of, if not all of, the major decisions in life and provide many of the essential resources like money and a place to live. However, that kind of relationship comes with a price, and the price is the Six's freedom. Now, all Sixes crave their independence, but since many Sixes don't trust their ability to actually survive on their own, they tend to collect people, no matter how dysfunctional, so that they can feel like they've got a tribe wherever they go. Unstable Sixes love phrases like ride or die and family is everything. Sadly, for Sixes, those platitudes can be nothing more than an excuse for codependent behaviors, and one of the Sixes' biggest struggles in life will be ending a bad relationship with someone they've been with for a very long time. For Sixes that have experienced a lot of dysfunction in the home and are no longer close with their biological family, they tend to develop this narrative with their partner of us against the world. So as you can imagine, ending that relationship would very much feel like ending their entire world. Now, that's the extreme side of the Six's relational dysfunction. But most of the time, the Six's fear of their own independence plays out as this push-pull pattern of people-pleasing. Say that 5 times fast. Sixes often enjoy meeting the needs of their loved ones, but when they get sucked into playing the family servant, they start to worry they've compromised too much of their independence for the sake of their loved ones. However, at that point, it just feels like the norm, and Sixes hate rocking the boat for the sake of something that ultimately just serves their own needs. This is why Sixes and Twos get confused all the time. At the end of the day, though, all Sixes just need some level of autonomy within the relationship so it can feel mutually beneficial, and hopefully their partner can respect that. All right, that's the last relationship theme for Type 6 loyalists. I've just got one brief bonus topic left, which is all about the Sixes' love language. As a refresher, the 5 love languages are quality time, gifts, words of affirmation, acts of service, and physical touch. I would say that almost all Sixes have quality time as their first or second choice because they just love being around the people they love. But after that, it's a real crapshoot. Sixes are just so eclectic and contradictory that it's really hard to tell if they'll see a gift as a sign of generosity or a bribe. And words of affirmation can be a real self-esteem boost or just some superficial flattery. And acts of service can also be done from a place of true selflessness or deep guilt to make up for some shitty thing that you did. And of course, physical touch could be very romantic or you just being a big old horn dog. So, all that to say, ask your specific Enneagram 6 partner for their list, and then let me know in the comments what you find out. All right, my friends, that's a wrap on this overview of the Type 6 Loyalists' general relationship themes. I've got tons more relationship content coming out over the next few weeks, so hit that subscribe button to make sure that you don't miss out on any of the new episodes as they become available. I thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm your host, Colton Simmons, and I'll see you next time on You've Got a Type.